Hello, Giovanni here at Frap Tools, and today we're gonna explore an electronic music song that was so popular that it actually became a meme. I would like to articulate this video in three major parts. We have the kick drum, the bass, and the main melody. Let us start with the bass. I will use Falistri for this purpose, because I will need the Brenso later on by the end of this video to perform the main task. So I programmed the bass sequence here on my track 2 on the Usta sequencer and patch it here. The bass line is this one. It is in E minor. And the cool thing about this song is that the melody almost plays the same line but a fifth higher. So if we take a look just at the melody alone, we may be tempted to say that the song is in B minor, but actually the foundation plays and the chords plays in E. I may want to make the bass with a bit more character, so I can patch the output into this filter here on the Cunsa and crank the character and Q all the way up and have this very warm and distorted tone. I can play with the Q for a different kind of... But this is a bit out of style, so I will just keep the filter all the way open and use it just to add a bit of color. I may also play with the wave shapers, but I think that this setting here is probably what goes best. So for the next part of the song I need to program a kick drum, and it is so simple that actually I use the same track as the bass and just track 2, and I programmed my gate A of track 2 with a 4 on the floor pattern, so it plays like at every quarter note. And I'm gonna patch it to Sapel to obtain a kick drum and patch this one to one of these Cunsa filters, for example this one. Now the first thing that I want to do for now is to put a dummy cable here to break the semi-normalization going from here to here, because it will sound like this. And I don't need this effect right now. I may need later, so it's not something that I would exclude. And then I will take my output, low pass output. I'm gonna use the 24 dB per octave, set it just to filter mode, and crank the Q knob all the way up, so to make it self-resonate. I can scoop the bass a little bit by using the combo mode if I want. And I just have to tune the ping circuit to achieve this kind of very tight sound. I can also use other outputs, like the bandpass is like a more hard style kind of kick. I think I'm gonna settle with this one. The problem is that if I pause the track, I have these sub frequencies very low. It's way below audio rate. You can really see the waveform here that are just clogging my mix, and I need to close the VCA. So I will just program another track on the Usta to have the same gate pattern, and I will use this to trigger an envelope, which will be my yellow Falistri envelope. Transient mode. I can give it like an extra decay curve, so not to affect the envelope too much. Something like this. And now I have like a very good silence at the end. We will need that right now, because you can see that something is quite missing, because the bass is actually sidechained. So I can take the envelope of the kick drum patching it, I'm using this one, which offers me like an integrated version of that envelope. Patch it to the 321, add a positive offset and invert the phase. So now I have an inverted copy. We will tweak it up a little bit later on if needed. Now for the melody, the original sound, it seems very distorted, and I don't know what kind of synth or plugin was used. I just went by instinct and used the Brenso. So I programmed the sequence on track 1, which sounds like this. With no gate at all for now. Nice. And to obtain that sound, as you can see, this is very high pitched. I used the green generator in FlipSync. And I will use a very harsh waveform. I might start with the sawtooth, for example, and set it way low. Maybe the sequence is playing like an octave higher, so I can transpose it down, something like this. And we are very close, actually, and I can also use the sawtooth. You can see that it has a very buzzing sound. It's not as if I were using just a plain square wave like this. Not even an octave lower. Because it has a very sort of a very gritty attack on every note. Pay attention. And to achieve that effect, I am running this oscillator. I'm not controlling this with the volt per octave signal, because otherwise it would have sounded something like this, which is... It's nice, but it's not what I wanted to obtain. There. And now we need the articulation. So, a gate track in repeat mode, so as you can see that the sequence have different gate values, because every stage is capable of outputting more gates. And for example, I can patch one of them straight to the CGM, just for demonstration. So the sound is already quite nice, but I think that we can improve it by adding some more distortion and making it closer to the original grittiness. So I will just patch my Brenso's output to Cunsa's filter number 1. I will use basically Cunsa as a distortion unit right now. So instead of keeping my gate track here and let's use this one, for example, something like this. See that it's not quite convincing, so I will just use the gates to modulate the input, which has more of a distortion tone. Compare this to this. I like the fact that it has somehow like the attack of a highly distorted guitar. It's already quite nice. I think that we can try and clone our melody track over track B and use it to modulate the volt per octave input, so to have like our distortion tracking with the filters. So to have such a distorted sound on the Cunsa, I used a bandpass filter instead of a very creamy and smooth low-pass filter output with a very high setting, high input, and high Q. This is sounding already quite nice, and if we want, we can also use another filter, like the second one, in parallel. To control another, to add some high end, or perhaps like a high pass filter, something like this. There's really a lot of nuances that we can get also by saturating the output stage. This sounds quite close to the original one, but now we have to take care of a couple of issues, so to speak, because right now we are feeding all those signals to the other filters, so we need to patch a few dummy cables to break the semi-normalization. Let's start with the volt per octave, the input, and the VCA. And at this moment we just need some trance stabs, but unfortunately we cannot make them with the modular synthesizer. But we can cheat a little bit and use something else. And by cheating I mean we can use some classic super saw sounds. Of course, the purpose of these videos wasn't to say that this is the perfect machine to make this kind of sounds, because there are plenty of other options. The point instead was to demonstrate how far we can take this setup, because learning new techniques is always the basis to have new creative inputs. I think that we can cap it here for today. I hope you found this video interesting, inspiring, and just a little bit fun. And if you want to explore other sounds in the same way with this system here, let me know in the comments below. And I will see you next time with more patch tips.